2019. Yeah. 2019
Okay.
maybe.
So, I mean, yeah, you did kind of mention that, you got lucky. Definitely in retrospect, yeah, it was a good time, right? Because, real estate skyrocketed specifically at the start of COVID and, up until recently, to be honest. And, Jacksonville was a pretty hot market as well. So the fact that you had a 12 unit portfolio that was, turnkey, you mentioned they were like new construction or close to new construction.
Yeah.
So because of that, I mean, what's kind of smart about that, and I started off in turnkey new construction as well, because when you're working full time, you don't want to spend as much effort renovating a project per se. You just want to know, okay, I'm buying for this much. This is how much I rent it out for. These are my expenses. This is my cash flow.
Yeah.
Very easy, right? Obviously, single families, the value is based on the sales comps. So it's dependent on the market. So, you bought at a good time and it went up in 2 years, you did a cash out refinance, pull all your money out. That's a perfect BRRRR. And, it just was, you just had time in the market. You said you were lucky, but people have been saying since 2015, oh, it's going to pop. Real estate's going to pop. Real estate's going to pop, right? So you still took the risk. You still took the initiative and jumped in, and it did well for you. So, I know people who were talking about real estate when I did, never took action, and they still own zero real estate versus people like me, I scaled to 90, you scaled to like 100. So just by taking that action and taking that risk, that's how you built. And then now at this point, you basically get the point, you get more leverage where you want to find people where, okay, people bring me the deal, you leverage them, and then you can create a symbiotic relationship, and that's how you scaled even more. And I'll be honest, that's my personal stopping point right now. If I were to label one point for me is the partnership route. I do know that if you want to go to the next level, you do have to partner, definitely, because you run out of your capital eventually, you run out of your time eventually, and I hit both, to be honest, capital and time. But I'm trying to just kind of lay my foundation first before jumping forward for that. So yeah, I guess kind of through the story, did you have any bad partnerships, and how did that kind of look like?
Yeah. So, of course, people like to talk about all the success that they have. I would say partnerships are not easy, and most of them don't end up in the way that you're expecting. And it's just, it's a learning lesson, because when you're embarking into something new, like this is the first time I've bought a 50plex. This is the first time I've bought an Airbnb. This is the first time I've bought a commercial property. Whatever it is, as you're growing as an investor, you're going to keep running into new projects, new deals. And when you go into it not knowing what to expect, you can do as much due diligence as possible. You can even vet the partner, you can vet their characteristics, their skill sets, whatever it is. You can lay out the roles and responsibilities, but the reality is you just don't know what you don't know. And so once you're in it and you're operating, then it's a matter of, okay, how all these things are popping up. How do we assess this and divvy up the work? And I think that's where a lot of partnerships don't go well, because there isn't as much willingness beyond the roles and responsibilities for someone to be like, oh, that's on me, I'll take it. And then also life gets in the way. Is oh, people have babies, people, whatever the thing is, that they get a new career, they start a new project, and that's time consuming. And then now they don't have as much time on the partnership. So I would say that, looking back, personality is very important. I use the DISC assessment, DISC, to assess, what people come to the table with in terms of their personality. And I really try to build partnerships where everybody has their own letter. So I am a heavy I with a low D, then that means that I need to find an S and a C to complement my skill sets. So just identifying where is this person coming from? What kind of skills do they bring to the table? Because I think a lot of people begin partnerships with friendships. Yeah. And that's actually not a great way to form a partnership, because a lot of times your friends are people that are like you.
Yes.
And when they're like you, it means that they probably have the same kind of DISC assessment as you. So you really need to find the exact opposite of who you are, and partner with them. And then, for me, when I failed at partnerships, it was because I didn't assess how they deal with problems. And that was, a big learning. And I continue to learn. We continue to, deal with this with even my new partnerships now. It's like, what kind of hardships have they gone through, and how did they deal with them? Did they roll up their sleeves, and just go at it, or did they have avoidance or procrastination? How do people handle pressure and, tough situations? And I think that that's a really defining way of figuring out who is a good partner. Is also like, do they hold grudges, or do they let go? Are they stressed out when there's a leak, when there's this drama, when someone serves you papers? How do you deal with it when someone's trying to sue you? Like, those kind of things is usually a good determining factor of like how they're going to be as a partner.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because basically how you do anything is how you do everything, right?
Mhm.
So, for me, I work in a hospital, and, for me, I'm under high pressure every day. It's life and death, literally, for me, in making decisions, right? Like, someone's bleeding to death in the emergency room. I got to make a quick decision on which drug to give. So to
Mm.
me, because I'm dealing with life and death situations, when it comes to real estate, I just think, oh, like, this isn't that terrible. Okay, a roof is like busted. Okay, just spend 20K to fix it. And it's just like very casual, because I'm used to like a level 9 problem, and maybe a roof for me might be like a level 2 problem in
Yeah.
comparison, right? So that's what you're kind of mentioning, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because like a lot of people, believe it or not, they're not action oriented. Even people in real estate, because for me, I'm so action oriented, like to a fault almost, where I would take too fast of an action. Because to me, you assess the situation, you take action, and if it doesn't work, you pivot. What's the option A, B, C, D, E, right? If it doesn't work, pivot, you learn from it, and hopefully the next time it happens, you do it better, right? That's kind of the core of that. But some people, they're like, oh, I don't know, I'm doubting, I need to do this, I'm stressed out over my day job, I need to procrastinate. And it can get frustrating, right? Like, if, let's say you're action oriented and then the other person likes to procrastinate. So that's what honestly made me shy away from partnerships a little bit, because I just want to make the decision and like not have to fight with somebody and make it more complicated and stressful than it needs to be. But on the flip side, as you mentioned, if you find someone that compliments you, 1+1 will be 3, not 2. If you get someone exactly like you and you both hate spreadsheets, like, okay, that's great, but you can just both hate spreadsheets together. So yeah, it's kind of interesting, like how that goes. And, to be honest, partnerships, it's hard to get out than a marriage. Marriage, you can get divorced way easier than you get out of a partnership. And what you need to realize too is, you and your partner may have goals outlined today, but in 5-10 years, the goals may change
Yeah.
and situations change, right? Maybe they go through divorce, maybe they go through disability, maybe they go through death. I see it every day. And all of a sudden, your partner's situation may change. So, that's always what you have to consider when partnering, and that's the risk you take. But, the upside is, if you find a great partner, that's how you scale massively. But, you have to, it's kind of like dating, right? You have to go through, a couple partners before you find the one. But like you said, there's a lot of things in real estate, and I'm sure like literally whatever you underwrite when you buy an apartment complex, the moment you take over the property, throw it out the window. Because, I do C-class value at apartment complexes. I underwrite 10% cash and cash flow day one. I take over the apartment complex. I have 5 people stop paying me, and I evict them. There goes my 10% cash and cash return, right? It's probably like negative or breaking even, but now I'm going to renovate their units and raise it to market rent, right? So, just expect that. Or take over apartment complex. Everyone makes a service request now because the prior landlord didn't want to fix anything. So now you're fixing AC units in every unit, especially now, right? And each AC unit's like $3,000 times 10 units, right? And or you have a bed bug infestation and you have to fumigate all your units, not just one, all the units. Because if you fumigate one unit, the bed bug goes to the next unit, and
Yeah.
then the next unit, and now you're paying $500 per unit to fumigate it. So like you will get hit with haymakers in real estate, but as long as you can think long term, and know that, you know, long term this will do well, and have that long term outlook, then you'll be successful in real estate. That's where people fail, and that's what I learned too. Like if you were to tell me 3 years ago, hey Steven, you're going to own 90 units, I'd be like, oh, I could probably give my boss a middle finger and not have to work, right? But I'm still working because I'm stabilizing the apartments, right? But once they're stabilized at that point, you know, you could step away and you know, pursue your true purpose and passion, whatever that is. You know, mine is teaching and education and just learning and sharing what I learned. You know, if I were to kind of sum it, and you know, if you think about it, healthcare is exactly that too, right? Like I teach patients and I teach pharmacy students and residents, so it's just kind of that mindset. So I guess kind of anything you kind of want to share that kind of helped lead to your success? I guess what's kind of one trait that you had that led to your success?
I would say it's probably two-part. It's not having parents available to take care of me from a young age meant that I was very independent and entrepreneurial. I've been supporting myself ever since I was 15.
Wow.
And yeah, because, you know, my family was in financial hardship. They couldn't give me money to spend on things. So I had to find my own money. And I think because of that, I went through a slew. I think I had about 20 jobs before I turned 18.
Wow.
Just, you know, I was like dog walker, and I worked in a sushi restaurant, and I worked at a toy factory and all kinds of things. And I think because of that, I've always just been, you know, very entrepreneurial and willing to do whatever it takes. And I think that has served me well, especially in real estate and in my career. So that's one thing. It's just like do whatever you need to do to get to where you want to go. And I think a lot of people are not as flexible. It's like, I don't want to scrub that floor. You know, I'm here. I'm not gonna like get dirty and like do this and that, whatever it is. You know, there are times where I still have to do that. I sometimes have to step in and get dirty with the investments, and it just got to do what it takes. Like people don't show up to work. So that's one thing. And then I would say the other thing is the stress level. I think you touched on that, Stephen. You know, working in a hospital and having to deal with, you know, life and death and extreme situations daily has increased your capacity for stress, because you know, like, none of this is worth it. Like people die, right? It's like, why push yourself to the edge? You know, it's not worth it to even go through that amount of stress and put your body through so much strain. And I think because of all the things that happened to me, my chaotic upbringing, you know, you said yourself, schizophrenia is not an easy illness, and dealing with a lot of chaos, a lot of fear and unpredictability from a young age for me, and kind of learning how to navigate that chaos and just rising above it and staying calm and not letting that really affect my mindset and my stress level. Because, you know, going through all that with my family and the financial hardship, same thing. It's like, oh, this leak, this person suing me, that's a 2. I've been at tens before. This is nowhere close to a 10. So just kind of taking that mindset with anything that comes our way. It's like, well, yes, it sucks. It's not great, but there's so many worse things out there. There's human trafficking and you know, oppression and wars and, you know, starvation. So like, it just, in comparison, you know, the problems that we face, they're all good problems to have. And, you know, we just take it with a grain of salt and we handle it. But it really matters like how you handle that stress, whether you hold on to it and really ruminate, or you just say, hey, well, it happened. What do we got to do? How do we fix it?
Great. Yeah. I mean, kind of what I heard was just kind of resilience, right? From your story and your journey. Like, you know, people kind of see that, oh, you scaled to 100 units recently, you know, the past 6, 7 years, but you've been basically building your character, since you're like 15 or maybe even earlier. So, people don't see that. They're just kind of seeing your highlight reel. And same with me, you're seeing my highlight reel as well. But just know that like success comes in seasons, right? There's a season where you're just working, odd jobs. There's a season where you're pursuing your own tech career. There's a season where, you're helping pick up the scraps of your family, real estate portfolio. There's a season now where, you built your own real estate portfolio and now you're enjoying it and you're now giving back with your wellness. So just know that like there's a certain season and, everyone's in different seasons at different times. But just if you know that it's just temporary and eventually you'll get through it, then yeah, at the end of the day, I see people get hit by cars every day and they could be worth billions of dollars and they would give up all that billions just to be able to walk again. So the fact that like we can even walk is like a blessing, but you can't take it for granted. Think about it. And, for me, I'm humbled by it every day because I see it every day, literally multiple times a day, right? I see the worst of the worst, unfortunately, but it just kind of keeps you humble and grounded that like, hey, it's gonna be hard, but just enjoy the journey. And I think that's what kind of killed me with the vivid vision. I kind of forgot to mention my goal was like, 20K a month by 35. I'm not going to hit it, or I still may. But I was kind of like stressing myself out with it because I just thought, well, it wasn't making me enjoy the journey and being present. That's what I thought the downfall was, because I was always thinking, even if you're at 10K a month, you're thinking, oh, I'm 10K behind my goal, instead of thinking, oh, wait, compared to like 5 years ago, I went significantly to 10K. So you're always just like chasing this like goalpost, and then it just kind of didn't feel fulfilling. It actually made me a little more anxious. So once I kind of just removed that off of me, I actually started enjoying it a bit more better. So that was just kind of something that I fell into a bit. I'm not sure if others fall into that, but that's just one trap I definitely fell into. So now I don't do like 3, 5, 10-year goals because I don't know how that's going to pan out. I actually just do like 6-month goals. Like this 6-month segment, this is what I want to do. And then I'll reevaluate in the next 6 months and see if I want to continue it or pivot to something else. So that's what I personally did. And yeah, I just kind of felt like I was putting too much pressure on myself when, I wasn't really enjoying the process either. So that's why I kind of removed that constraint off of me. But I have seen success with like, obviously laying a vision, but that's just a trap that high achievers fall into. Because I basically achieved everything I wanted. And, once you kind of hit the top, it's kind of underwhelming sometimes. Like, oh, I thought it was gonna be better than what it was, right? So that's at least my experience. Like, became a pharmacist. Oh, this is whatever. Became pharmacy director. Oh, it's not as great as I thought. Bought my first property. Okay, it's great. Then you scale to 90. Okay, I kind of feel the same, to be honest. So, been creating a lot of content. Kind of my mindset shift recently after kind of obtaining, the certain level of success that I had. But anyways, Michelle, thank you so much for hopping on and sharing your journey. I definitely learned a lot. I did not expect your story to be that crazy, to be honest. Probably the craziest one I've heard. But goes to show that if you went through all that and you became successful, I think anyone can do it as well. How can our viewers find you and get a hold of you?
Thanks, Steven. It's been an absolute honor to talk to you and learn about your story as well. And I love what you're doing and furthering with your passion for education, helping other people out, and just really talking about, beyond what went well in real estate, what didn't go well. Because I think that's really where the magic is identifying like, okay, learn from us. We didn't do it the right way, so you don't have to make the same mistakes that we did. So really appreciate you having me on. For me, you can follow my personal Instagram account. I'm at miso, like miso soup, miso.mind, MIND, so like mindset. I also have my website, lotusrisingretreats.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at Lotus Rising Retreats. That's the name of our wellness retreat located in Oahu, Hawaii. Our very first retreats in January. We're booked out for January and February. We are booking for the following month. So if any of your listeners are interested in either renting out our incredible space, we're also renting it as for rental. And we're hosting mental health retreats and wellness retreats. Opening start in March. If people are interested in signing up, check us out on Instagram or at our website.
Cool, Michelle. And I'll definitely, drop a link to all that down below in the comments, so people can reach out. And definitely, if I come, I'll make sure to bring the Prozac with me, to distribute to the whole entire group. I'm just kidding. All right, Michelle, thank you so much. I think we touched the tip of the iceberg, but definitely, I think we'll find a lot of value from your story. So thank you once again.
Thanks, Stephen. Appreciate it.
Thank you.